Welcome to the Deep Dive by 5W Media. Today, we're really getting to something fascinating, what drives us. We're looking at motivation, discipline, and also these subtle behavioral insights.
Yeah, you sent over some great material. It's a really interesting mix looking at how we get started on things, but also, crucially, how we keep going.
Exactly. So our mission really is to kind of pull out the key ideas that can help you, the listener, understand what makes you tick, how to stay on track, and maybe notice those little things that influence your choices day to day.
There should definitely be some useful takeaways. It's about understanding the mechanics behind our actions.
Okay, so let's dive right in. One of the first things that, honestly, it just jumped out from the sources was this statement. Motivation is good for about 15 minutes, but what you actually need is to have discipline, which is good permanently. That's quite a statement.
It is pretty direct, isn't it? And I think what's powerful there is the focus on sustainability, motivation. It's that spark, that initial, yes, I want to do this.
Right, that burst of energy.
Exactly. But it burns out. Discipline, or at least how it's framed here, is more like the engine you build. It's the structure, the habit, the system that keeps things moving even when that initial excitement has worn off.
And it links to this idea that discipline isn't just something you have, it's something you decide, a choice you make.
Yes, a conscious choice. You decide to be disciplined, decide to aim higher, or, make your mark, as one source put it. It's not about waiting to feel motivated.
It's more active than passive.
Very much so. It's like building a skill. Each time you make that small disciplined choice, getting up instead of hitting snooze, like you mentioned, you're sort of reinforcing that pathway.
Which brings us straight to that point about small decisions. Choosing the healthier snack, spending just 15 minutes on that project you've been avoiding. It seems so small in the moment.
Almost insignificant. Right.
Okay.
One day doesn't make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But the source really hammers home that cumulative effect. It's the compounding of those tiny choices over weeks, months, years. That's what actually changes things fundamentally.
It's the difference between who you are now and who you want to become.
Precisely. That's the real power behind it.
But, okay, the sources also ask, why don't we make those choices more often? They talk about the comfortable path.
Ah, yes. The path of least resistance. It's always tempting, isn't it?
It really is. But the implication is that this easy road, it actually leads to less freedom in the long run. You end up kind of trapped by habits, by procrastination.
It's a bit of a paradox. Seeking comfort leads to being controlled by comfort or by the lack of discipline. It makes you think, where does that comfortable path actually end up? Often it's a place of stagnation.
Definitely food for thought. And then there was this other angle on sustained discipline, humility, recognizing we don't know it all.
Oh, that's crucial. Especially, as you get older, gain more experience, it's easy to think, okay, I've got this figured out.
Right.
But staying open, realizing there's always more to learn, that's key for actually continuing to grow. It keeps you adaptable. Without that humility, discipline can become rigid, maybe even counterproductive.
Okay, so that's the sort of motivation versus discipline picture. But then the sources took a bit of a turn, shifting gears into behavioral economics, these nudges. How does that connect?
Well, this is where it gets really practical, I think. Behavioral economics shows us we're not always logical. Our environment, how choices are framed, it subtly pushes us.
So these aren't like commands, but gentle pushes.
Exactly. Nudges. Think about the examples given, like that sign at the DMV. Most people use the stairs. That's using social proof.
Making you think, oh, okay, that's what people do.
Right. Or making organ donation the default choice on forms. People tend to stick with the default. It's easier. These little things guide behavior without forcing it.
And we can potentially use these ideas on ourselves.
Absolutely. We can architect our own environment to nudge ourselves toward the things we want to do. But first, another key piece from the sources was Simon Sinek's idea.
The Start With Why TED Talk. Yeah, that was powerful. His point that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Exactly. That why, your purpose, your core belief, that's the real engine for deep intrinsic motivation. It's not just about the task. It's about the meaning behind the task.
So connecting your actions back to a bigger purpose.
Yes. And his framework, the golden circle, why, how, what, he argues the most inspiring leaders and companies like Apple communicate from the inside out. They start with their why.
Not just we make great computers, but we believe in challenging the status quo.
Precisely. And that why resonates. It attracts people, customers, employees who believe what you believe. That builds loyalty, commitment. The kind of stuff motivation alone struggles with long term.
That story about the Wright brothers versus Langley really hit that home, didn't it? Langley had the funding, the resources.
Everything, on paper. But the Wright brothers had the belief, the why. They inspired a team who believed in the cause, not just the paycheck. That made all the difference when things got tough.
So for personal goals, figuring out your why is pretty fundamental then.
I'd say so. It's your anchor. When discipline feels hard, reminding yourself why you started, why it matters to you personally, can pull you through.
And then there was the law of diffusion of innovation. Kivo was mentioned. Great product, apparently, but
They struggled. The point there was about communication, especially communicating the why to different groups. Early adopters might get it instinctively, but the mainstream, the majority, they need to understand the underlying benefit, the purpose. TiVo sold what it did, not why it mattered.
So understanding who you're trying to reach, or even understanding where you are in adopting a new habit, helps tailor the message, even the message to yourself.
Yeah, are you still in the innovator phase of trying something new, or are you hitting that early majority resistance? Knowing that helps you adjust your strategy.
Okay, let's talk about teams. The sources brought up self-determination theory, ARC, autonomy, relatedness, competence.
Right. This suggests that for people to be intrinsically motivated, especially at work, they need to feel a sense of control over their tasks, autonomy, feel connected to others, relatedness, and feel effective and capable, competence.
So it's not just about, bonuses or perks.
Those are extrinsic, important, sure, but ARC taps into deeper intrinsic drivers. Leaders who foster an environment that supports these three needs tend to have more engaged, self-motivated teams.
And that links to this idea of self-driven extrinsic motivation, taking something external like a work task and finding personal meaning in it.
Exactly. Maybe you don't love filling out reports, but you see how it connects to team success, which you do value. Or the nurse example. Following protocols isn't just ticking boxes. It's directly linked to saving lives, a powerful why. You internalize the external requirement.
So for leaders trying to motivate their teams, beyond fair pay, what does this actually look like day to day?
It means consciously looking for ways to boost ARC. Give people choices where possible, autonomy. Foster teamwork, and recognize contributions relatedness. Provide clear feedback, training, opportunities to grow competence. It's about empowerment and trust, really.
Okay, so let's circle back and connect these behavioral nudges directly to building personal discipline. How can we actively nudge ourselves?
Well, think about making the desired behavior easier. That's a key nudge principle. We talked about defaults like automating savings or putting healthy food front and center in the fridge.
Reducing friction, essentially.
Exactly. Laying out your gym clothes the night before, putting your phone charger across the room so you have to get out of bed. Small environmental tweaks that make the disciplined choice slightly easier than the alternative.
And making it attractive. How does that work as a nudge?
You could use visuals like a progress chart. Or maybe you bundle a task you dislike with something you enjoy, only listening to your favorite podcast while exercising, for instance. Highlighting the benefits, framing it positively. Social proof works here too, joining a group with similar goals.
Right. Seeing others succeed can be motivating.
Definitely. And then there's timing. The sources mentioned those studies about paying students or teachers up front for performance.
Yeah, that was interesting. The immediacy seemed to matter more.
It often does. We're wired for more immediate rewards. So while you have your big why, maybe build in smaller, more frequent acknowledgments or rewards for sticking to your discipline. And also just timing your tasks, doing the hard stuff when your energy is naturally higher. Don't fight your own rhythms unnecessarily.
So it really feels like a combination then. You need that internal why, that conscious decision to be disciplined.
Yes, the foundation.
But you can also be smart about it. You can design your environment, structure your choices, use these little nudges based on how we actually behave, not just how we think we should behave.
Exactly. It's not just about willpower, though that's part of it. It's about understanding yourself, understanding these subtle influences, and then using that knowledge strategically to set yourself up for success. It's a much more holistic and, frankly, realistic approach.
A blend of inner resolve and smart external setup. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable practical insights into how all these pieces, motivation, discipline, behavioral nudges, really fit together.
Yeah, hopefully some things you can start applying right away.
If you like what you are hearing from us, please subscribe. Also, if you would like and share this video, it helps us tremendously and means so much to us. Please also leave a comment. We want to know what you think and value ideas you might have for future podcasts. Thanks for tuning in.